be with us this morning, and all that we have planned in our hearts to do this morning, Lord, take over and give us the wisdom and the way forward. Remember all the members of the family of our dear friend departed Raphael Githiga Mwai. Lord, it's a long fellowship that we have had with our brother, and it is your choice that you decided that this is the right time for him to depart from this troublesome world into rest and peace with you in heaven. We ask you, O Lord, to cover the members of the family, the children, the close relatives, the grandchildren, and even the grandchildren. All are in your hand. It is you who decides what to do with any one of them. Give us direction and give us peace. And let us see this departure as a good decision that was right for you to do. And then we, those who are remaining behind, who are enjoying the company of Raphael, let us also remain with peace, but guide our movements and our actions, because at the end of the day, we are all destined to come unto you. Be with us, give us our blessings. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Rock of ages, clear for me. Let me hide myself in thee. Let me waters and the blood from thy riverside and flow. Be of sin the double cure. Cleanse me from this guilt and power. Nothing in my hand I bring, simply to thy cross I cling. Naked come to thee for dress, helpless look to thee for grace. While I to the fountain fly, wash me, Savior, or I die. Rock of ages, left for me. Let me hide myself in thee. Let the water and the blood from thy riverside which flowed be of sin the double cure. Cleanse me from its guilt and power. Thank you very much. We be seated.
Friends, partners, family members, and professional colleagues gathered here, it is difficult to even contemplate, leave alone believe, that FCS Raphael Mwai is no more. At the Secretariat, we closed the year at a rather low note, with passing away of Mr. Samuel Gwada, father to our colleague CS John Omodi Gwada, the training officer. It was also the year in which another colleague, Mr. Douglas Kirubi, was taken ill on November 30th, 2019, and has since been in a critical condition at the Arakan Hospital. We want to thank you all members for your prayers and continued financial support so far towards Douglas Kirubi's hospital bills, which currently stands in excess of 10 million. We celebrated the year 2020, believing that it had ushered in a new era and would erase our memories of a difficult year 2019. Unfortunately, our celebrations were short-lived as the news of FCS Raphael Mwai came in. We remember how Raphael would call or visit us at the Secretariat virtually every week with some standard questions. Some of the questions were like this: what new thing have you introduced to this institute? Why are you envisioning the profession in the next 5 years? What are you doing to make an impact in this profession? Today, we have not gathered here to mourn Raphael. Rather, we are congregated to celebrate his life well lived. We are congregated to celebrate his contributions not only to the institute, but also to the profession both locally and globally. We are congregated to celebrate his contribution to our lives as individuals. To most of us, he was a father, he was a mentor, and he was also a professional colleague. I remember on July 5th, 2019, we had a meeting at Westwood Hotel, Westlands, Nairobi, and a number of senior professional colleagues, including FCS Raphael Mwai, FCS Catherine Musakali, who is here, CS Martin Oduol, FCS Jane Mugabe, the immediate former CEO of SCAC, and others, and FCS Maige. We were in that meeting, and among other professionals, and Raphael started, because it was just a few days after the death of Bob Collymore, so we had a few discussions about the life of Bob Collymore and all that. Raphael started off the discussions with what he referred to as the mystery of life, work, retirement, and death. He explained that at his age, he had seen so many people die, some so close to him, that he had changed his perspective towards life. According to him, death being so mysterious and always close by, we must always do what we can do now with a sense of urgency, as we do not know what tomorrow holds for us. Perhaps the most memorable statement in that meeting which he made was, "I have refused to get tired. I have refused to retire. I will die on my 2 feet." And true to his words, Raphael died on his 2 feet. At age 73, Raphael was more active in the profession than most of us. At age 73, Raphael was pursuing his PhD. At age 73, Raphael had started writing books on governance and corporate secretariat. At age 73, Raphael was very instrumental in the institute, the profession, and more particularly in the fellow steering committee. At age 73, Raphael was one of the most refined trainers and consultants the profession had. At age 73, Raphael had not gotten tired. At age 73, Raphael was not retired. And at age 73, Raphael was still at his 2 feet. When I think of his determination, I remember Ecclesiastes 9:10, which says, "Whatever your heart fights to do, do it with your might, for there is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in the grave to which you are going." If Raphael was to speak today, he would ask some questions to all of us gathered here, and these are the questions that I want you to ask your neighbor. What new thing have you introduced to the institute? Ask them. The other question that you probably have asked you to ask your neighbor is, where are you envisioning the profession in the next 5 years? You would also have probably asked you to ask your neighbor, while you are still alive, what are you doing to make an impact in this profession? I'm waiting for you to ask them. If Raphael was to speak today, he would request that you tell your neighbor this statement: no matter your age, do not be tired, do not retire, live on your 2 feet. Finally, I wish to close by encouraging us with some Bible verses from the book of 1 Thessalonians. It's a difficult. Yeah? Thessalonians 4, from verse 13 to 18, which says, "But we will not have you ignorant, brethren, concerning those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others who have no hope. For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, through Jesus, God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep. For this we declare to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, shall not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command, with the archangel's call, and with the sound of the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then who are alive, who are left, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words." God bless you.
Tunaomba uwepo wako uende nasi. Ewe Bwana wa majeshi, tusikie. Kama huendi nasi, hatutaki kutoka hapa. Hatuwezi peke yetu, wenda nasi. Tuwa shingo ngumu, tusamehe. Hatufai mbele zako, turehemu. Tusafishe Baba, tuonyeshe uso wako. Twahitaji neema yako, enda nasi. Tutavua mapambo yetu, vitu vyote vya thamani kwetu. Mioyo yetu twaleta mbele zako, tutakase na utembee nasi. Naomba utuonyeshe njia zako, kwa maana umetuita kwa jina lako. Twalilia Baba, utukufu na uso wako. Bila wewe tutashindwa, enda nasi. Tutavua mapambo yetu, vitu vyote vya thamani kwetu. Mioyo yetu twaleta mbele zako, tutakase na utembee nasi. Mioyo yetu twaleta mbele zako, tutakase na utembee nasi. Mioyo yetu twaleta mbele zako, tutakase na utembee nasi.
I knew this man in 1980. 1980 is when I got married. And immediately before I was 1 year old married, I came across him. He was a very, very big man. Managing director of a Saiso company in Georgia. And we started even and we became very good friends. He was very impressed by my youthful passion and enterprise as a town clerk. And without saying it, he adopted me as his very young brother. And we have traveled together in that sense. So that Raphael became my mentor in life. That means as a father and as a husband. He became my mentor as a professional. He wanted me to be a good town clerk, and he was very concerned about Githiga.
That time they had nothing to do with this profession, nothing at all. But he influenced me to like it because he followed me when I first of all joined the HR, and he started enticing me into this profession until I gave in at some stage. And I think the rest has become history. He has guided me, he has trained me. There are not many people here who joined the profession later who have not been trained by Mwai. In one form or another, trained in a class about the professions. And he has been the best teacher I have ever had, seriously. Kadolima, who went a bit before me, could tell you that we used to talk about Mwai a lot, how he trains and the way he does it. And that's how he interested me. So as a trainer, as a mentor, and then he adopted me as his elder brother. He became my elder brother. And he's the only man, because I've been very tenacious, he's the only one who could shake me off and bring me down to earth and make me see things as they should be. So I learned to treat him as my elder brother that I didn't have before. And that went on until I myself became an FCS. And the last time I remember we sat together, I couldn't get away from him. We were, I think, in one of the summits in Mombasa, in Kwale. And I felt this major love of being next to a brother and lovingly wanting to know a lot from him, even as old as I am. Of course, I'm not young any longer. So I think Mwai has gone, but I think he has left very giant steps and a very giant legacy of influencing many people sitting here and elsewhere. And I believe we shall only, he will live in our hearts and he will live in our institute. I don't know what we can do here to remember him as a founder chairman, either name a room or something that can make us be remembering that there was a founder chairman. But I can tell you people, it may not have been very obvious to you, but I loved this man as my elder brother. And therefore that's the way I'll miss him, that's the way I'll remember him, as my elder brother in everything, in the profession, in life, and in growing up. Thank you very much.
I always like to be in the company or in a situation where Mwai is, because he is very provocative to good discussion, and for him giving good examples of professional life. I have been in several meetings or courses, or you can call them seminars, where he has been called to facilitate. And I came to like him, and I think some of you may know that I was a CEO of the cooperative insurance company, which is just next year, which had a lot of problems because we started from transforming it from an agency, a tiny agency, to what it is. And then in the all the time I was there for 24 years, I was also company secretary. And I think I was quite lonely to try to tell my fraternity about cooperative governance. There was this time that we had a very serious problem. The company was almost to be registered. And I organized a seminar for the senior managers and all the board members at a venue in Nakuru. I invited two facilitators. One of them was the Commissioner of Insurance, because he was the one who was about to register the organization, and the other one was Raphael G. I brought him in because I knew he would bring sense to my board. And among the things he said, which I think as professionals you know, but he emphasized the role, the responsibility of directors. The duties, responsibilities, and then the liabilities of directors. And he emphasized that point. Because people want to be a director, but they don't know what responsibility they carry. I was very happy. At this time, in the organization, we were emphasizing on board evaluation. And for me, as a board member, as a company secretary and the CEO at that time, I now, after this seminar, I wanted the board to evaluate me. Challenge the board to evaluate me. But from what we learned, I said, we also evaluate the chairman, we evaluate the board, and we evaluate every director. And I think from what we learned, the presentation of Mwai, I think my board became quite more responsible and more concerned about the organization rather than their position as a board. So I can say, as I retired, the CIC you see here, Mwai has contributed to its stability. So he was a friend. I always enjoyed being where he is. And of course, you know how he laughs and he makes everybody at ease. So for me, as a professional friend, I pray that he rests in peace. He has done. He has done. He has fulfilled his purpose in life. And I think this is what we should be celebrating. Thank you very much.
Now, Mwai became the chairman of the institute around 1991, and we started interacting very closely, because I remember one of the things that happened during those early 1990s, maybe around 1993, was a decision. It was a joint decision between the Registration of Certified Public Secretaries Board, the institute, and CASNEP to look into the development of the CPS or CS profession. And a task force was established. And believe it or not, among the giants, Githiga, FCS Mwai, I think Alfred Odero, a young Pius Guati found himself in that team. And I was, of course, it was easy to get intimidated. But these giants were so friendly, and that's why I talked about learning at the feet of elders, and they took every opportunity to coach and to mentor me. But I think I also had certain good traits, because I actually became the, let me say, editor of whatever documentation that came out from that task force, and subsequently I became a key part of preparing the overall profession's strategic plans. And I think we have prepared 1, 2, 3, I don't know whether we are on the 4th one, and I've been involved in each of those strategic plans. The reason I have mentioned strategic plans is that during those times, FCS Mwai, I think, was very focused on strategy. In fact, I think he was talking strategy. He was sleeping strategy. He was eating strategy. And when you met him, the discussion was about strategy. And he loved it. And he made some of us also to start loving strategy. So I can say that he was one of my key mentors in life, and in fact also one of the people, and I have mentioned Alfred Odero, I've mentioned Githiga, who encouraged me to become part and parcel of the CS profession, and hence I started also sitting for the CS examinations. Quite early, even before I joined the institute, even before I completed my examinations, of course, the institute did recognize me and give me a commendation when I was not even a member. And it was because of the work that I had done, especially in terms of charting the development of the profession, preparing the strategic plans led by the late FCS Mwai. Mwai was a very positive-minded person, and I think that's another thing I must say I adopted from him, or he helped me to sharpen. He never wanted to look at, he did not want to spend too much time on challenges, on threats, and on weaknesses. He wanted you to focus on strengths, the opportunities, and then to have aspirations and to seek for results. So at one time he told us about SOA, strengths, opportunities, aspirations and results. And he would say that and then burst in laughter. Because that was his style of doing things. And I believe among the people that I always mention, and by the way, he was always on my CV. And I said until a very late CV that I did in November last year, I still included him. So I hope nobody will call him. He's already left. But that shows you, the kind of respect, the kind of journey that we have traveled with the late Raphael Mwai.
I'm going to read the message of condolence on behalf of Justice Richard Mwongo. Some of the terminologies in the condolence letter are a bit judicial, so I'll just read them as presented. So if I fail to show emotion, in cases that require emotion, please just bear with me. To the family of Raphael Mwai, to the friends of Raphael Mwai, I write to express my sincere condolences to the family of Raphael Githiga Mwai. It's not a frequent thing in life that one comes across a person whose influence on another's life is so profoundly significant. To me, Raphael was a role model, a sort of silent mentor that one looked up to. I will mention only a limited area of his life, fully aware of his wide and expansive engagements and the immense role he has played in the life of this country. I first met Raphael as a young lawyer in 1988 with a keen interest in the details and mechanics of secretarial practice. At the time, there was no institute of secretaries other than the Kenyan arm of the UK body, the ICS. Those in the profession then were actively promoting the establishment of as the tutoring professional body. Raphael was at the forefront of this patriotic promotional activity. I recall many meetings at which this endeavor was passionately pursued by Raphael. He gave voice to what many of us felt was needed. A Kenyan body that recognized, promoted, and developed what was then the company secretary into a professional Kenyan body. A body that reflected the unique character and role of a secretary as a person who gave continuous, rounded professional advice and guidance in the internal governance of the corporate institutions for whose returns he met. At the time, there was a swath of lawyers who expressed active disdain for company secretaries as mere paper pushers and filers of annual returns, people who couldn't give formal advice to the corporations they served. In the throes of those engaging meetings, I met Raphael. He was well spoken, always passionate, focused, knowledgeable, and open-minded. He painted a picture of a profession of Kenyans certified solely to give advice and to undertake the governance role that was then absent in the companies and corporations. In any event, those meetings successfully resulted in the passing of the Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya Act in 1988, which became operational in November of 1989. Raphael asked me to join the Emerging Institute, and I did, being registered as number 0257. He was number 0048. Raphael became chairman and forged ahead with institutionalizing the new institute. His leadership gave us the first regulations for registration and membership. He deftly negotiated for lawyers who were necessarily engaged in corporate work to come on board as institute members without having to undergo the examinations then offered for secretaries. His leadership developed the Institute's coat of arms, fully registered under the College of Arms Act. The first time I had come across an activity under that statute that seeks to immortalize heraldic crests, coats of arms, seals, or other armorial bearings in the unique language and terms specified under the Act. His leadership publicized the emergent and expansive roles of the new certified secretary and solidified the profession into one that was well established and recognized in the country for governance compliance, policy promotion, and local and global leadership development. Raphael's shoes will not be easily filled. Some have referred to him as the father figure of the profession in Kenya. That, to me, is true. This is my testimony of his early and enduring influence in my life and in the Institute. Once again, my condolences to Raphael's family and also to the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries, the body for which he gave his unlimited endeavors. I pray that his soul should rest in heavenly peace. Honorable Justice Richard Mongo EPS, Presiding Judge, Naivasha. That was the condolence message from Justice Mongo, but I've just requested to also add mine. Having worked with Raphael on the nominations committee of the College of Fellows for the last 5 years. As a member of that committee, I personally found that role quite easy because of the character and the humor from Raphael. Many times we could struggle to make decisions on the nominations, but there's one thing he used to say, huyo hajaiva, wacha mambo yake tuangalie mwaka huu. Ama huyo ameiva, wacha ingie ndani. Unfortunately, he has left without giving us the criteria of kuiva. So we shall struggle as we forge ahead. But the one thing he stood for on this committee was for the reputation of the Institute. He wanted fellows whose standing in society, whose image, whose character stood well for the institute. He did nothing to minus the reputation of the institute. All that he did was a plus. So may his soul rest in eternal peace.
I first met Raphael when I was working at the Attorney General's office, and the AG put together a task force to review company law and insolvencies laws. And FCS Mwai was one of the members of that task force. And at that time, I was doing research for the task force. And of course, you know, in those days, there was no Google. There was, you had to actually literally go and look for a book and do your research in a book. And what always struck me about Mwai was his wealth of knowledge. Half the things I was busy looking for in books and researching and writing papers, he would just talk about them as if he was the one who actually authored that book. And he was very, very inspiring, such a key member of that task force. And we did our reports and submitted them to the Attorney General in 1999. So we were on the task force working together for about 5 years. Unfortunately, that report never really saw the light of day, because once it was submitted, it was shelved, and you all know that eventually a whole fresh process was started to lead us to the current new Companies Act that we have. But that for me was a very enriching and fulfilling experience. It is when I got to first hear about this profession of certified secretaries, and I immediately submitted an application and became a member. And through Raphael's mentorship and guidance, I eventually also became a fellow. I think I EVA'd under his tutelage. So I was also privileged to be a fellow of the Institute, and he didn't leave it there. He again invited me to be a member of the small body, what was it called? Is it a secretariat of the College of Fellows, and to continue working with him and with the rest of the team to see how we can again continue to build and contribute back to the profession. So I always admired Mwai's sense of service, because he was always so selfless and so keen to serve, always wanting to give back to the profession, always wanting to build new members and to build all the young people coming into the profession, always wanting to give up and build them up and build the strength and reputation of the profession. And I think that the mark that he has left in this profession, it cannot even be, I know there's a document that they wrote with the FCS Githiga. I don't even think it captures the essence of what these gentlemen have done for this profession. And we will always remember them for that indelible mark that they left in the profession of certified secretaries. So my condolences to the family. He will be greatly missed, I know, by many people, no less the CS fraternity. But we go forward knowing that what he left us with is so much and so rich that he will forever be in our memories. May he rest in peace, and God bless you all. God bless the family and help them through this difficult time. Thank you.
FCS members. We are now moving to the partners, and we have two key ones who will be giving their tribute. We have PPD, and we know what that did for him, and then we have CASNEM, and we also know the kind of contributions they made.
Good afternoon. You have perhaps heard the quotation, perhaps, which most you never did. Because I never heard about it anyway. Here lies a man who had good plans, good strategies, but did nothing in practice. Yesterday, as one of the pallbearers, my friend Mwai, as I pushed him to the church, that came to my mind. And I said to myself one thing. Here lies a man who was focused, committed, dedicated, a strategist, and put everything to practice. And I say, fair thee, my friend. I can't speak beyond that, to be unfair. He will tell you, okay, that for a whole week, you are the hostess cathedral, you have been a member for 3 years, but could have talked every day. I never said anything about it, because I was struggling with what not to say. So everybody made a tribute. I made none. The children passed were wondering why some of them were not talking. They don't want to talk to anybody. Last night after the church service, I felt, yes, rest in peace. I was able to come here. Two things then. It's beyond being my mentor. Even what I'm like there. Persuaded me to become a chairman of the institute. And of course we had the only president of the institute, none will be. There's a group of yes. The International Federation of Secretaries headquartered and elected at that time in Goa, India. None will. None of you tell you that. So therefore, we did so many together. But at PPD, the Public-Private Development Consultants Limited, that was Mwai's brainchild, invited me to a meeting at Sagrate, where before I'd been known to go for school and all that. I said, why do you make a Sagrate? You're professionals. So Mr. Peter, come. Sam, you come, don't think it's all about. So we went to Sagrate. And I met 20 people with Sagrate. And literally, other than me, all of them had been consulting for about 10, 15 years. I had just come from a government. So when they stood to introduce themselves, I was wondering, why am I here? Why am I in the wrong place? And I walked to the city Raphael, do you think I should be sitting here? He said, you stay. I called you, I invited you. At the end of it, everybody talked. I was supposed to talk. I said to everybody, let me tell you about Mr. Samuel. He'll become a very good consultant. And I sat down. That's how people save you crisis in life. And he did. But at PPD, where me and him sat close one another, we talked every day. I was not consulted before. But somehow I believed in value. You people had it from a distance. Had it up close every single day. Now, Raphael then at PPD said, we are not writing a proposal that anybody can do. Anybody can do that. Those robots can write proposals. At PPD, we are writing winning proposals. I said, what's the difference, Raphael? He said, you learn as you go along. He said, it's my teacher. And then he said, when you're writing a winning proposal, don't sit on your desk, go to the boardroom. So anybody wanted to think at PPD, you don't sit on your desk, you go to the boardroom. When there's nothing to think about, you got to think the boardroom. So we talk from the boardroom. And then the one popular saying that most people say, I remember my sister saying that Oscar Cathedral and Mahindi, there are huge opportunities. He believes in that. I sat on my desk and I wasn't seeing any opportunity. I never consulted. So I said, Raphael, where are these opportunities? He said, Sam, they're huge opportunities. I've been in PPD since 2004 to date. And if there are no opportunities, I would have gone away. And I'll continue from my step. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Allow me to pay my tribute to our departed colleague and mentor, FCS Raphael Mwai. I remember we have spoken even in the All Saints Cathedral about his life, his role in our careers. I first met him in 2006 when I joined KIM and also the Institute. And at that time, because he was also a chairman of KIM at some point, I engaged with him and we struck a rapport with him. Became friends almost immediately. And so for the last about 15 years, I've interacted with FCS Raphael. He has challenged me in many ways. I remember when I was joining the Institute, he also challenged me and told me, you are young people whom we want to take over this profession to the next level. I remember him encouraging me also, together with DK and other members of the profession, to run in the council of the Institute in 2011. I was not interested, I was a reluctant council member. I remember him looking for me with the FCS Githiga, telling me we see something in you that you can as you can grow up with us. So we did interact with him in many ways. And I recall about 4 instances when we worked with him closely. I remember in around 2015, when the Companies Act was being amended, when I was chairman of the institute, we called upon him to go with me to meet the members of parliament under the Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs in Mombasa. We had a long time with the members of parliament, trying to plead with them to ensure that our profession was respected and recognized in our nation. And after he made a lot of presentations, of course the members of parliament were scared with him. They said, asked me, why did you bring us such a mzee? Is he willing to give us something so that we do what he wants in the law? I told him we do not do that at the profession, but please go by what he has recommended. Because he spoke for about 1.5 hours non-stop about the role of the profession and the need to incorporate it in the new Companies Act. So FCS Raphael has made a tremendous contribution to this profession. I also remember when I took over in 2014 as the chairman of the institute, taking over from my predecessor, FCS Catherine Sakali. A lot of work had been done around development of the code of governance. And I remember setting up a task force led by FCS Catherine and the membership of Raphael Mwai, FCS Mwai, and the other members, including my predecessor at CASNEP, Ananduati, and other members. So in those forums, he spoke with a lot of authority. And I think he's among the founders of Mwongozo that is being implemented by government at the moment. And so with so many of those things he has done, I think it only be fit to say that he has really contributed tremendously to the growth of the profession. And outside the ICS, I have known him also to make a lot of contributions at Kenya Institute of Management, where he worked before joining the university and later on to CASNEP. I remember when Kenya Institute of Management was going through a lot of challenges, he would call me aside and ask me, what is happening in our institute? I would explain to him. In one annual general meeting, he really made a lot of contributions in the annual general meeting of KIM, asking the members and the management and the board and the council of KIM to be able to do some transformation and to revive that institute. Outside there, outside here, and UPSEA, Social and Professional Sciences of East Africa, so that you can actually see how expansive his contribution has been in the profession, apart from the ICS profession and also others. He also has made a lot of contributions there. So you can see that as has been observed, he has quite made significant contribution. And in one time, I'll repeat what I said at the cathedral, he had developed another version, another passion. Remember, we have been told he had a passion for strategy, but along the way he also developed a passion for governance. But he also developed a passion for knowledge management and transfer. And you will recall that he used to ask us, what are you doing about knowledge management? And a few months ago, when I joined CASNEP, he gave me a memorandum, and I still have it. He told me, you need to do something about knowledge management. Indeed, you should even examine it. And even developed for me a framework of what to examine in knowledge management. So I think, as an honor of what our department colleague has made, because as we go through the major syllabus review at CASNEP, we will consider including some of the recommendations he has given us in that sector. And finally, allow me to say that he also an interest about young people. You know, occasionally when I was chairman asked me, when I look across, all of us are old people, what are you doing about the future of this profession? And I'm sure my colleagues who have been in the secretariat and in the council at that time will recall that occasionally someone asked us, can you do something about the young people? And he was even willing to offer a free service on mentorship of those people. So I would like to call upon the council and the secretariat to continue thinking about some of the aspirations and desires of our departed colleague and friend, FCS Raphael G. Finally, from CASNEP, where I'm the Chief Executive Officer and Secretary, I've come with my colleagues here, and we have a written tribute to the family and friends and the professional fraternity. We shall definitely present it so that it can be another one in the family through the Institute. May God bless all of us and rest his soul in eternal peace.
Chakutumaini sina ila damu yake Bwana, sina wema wa kutosha dhambi zangu kuziosha. Kwake Yesu nasimama, ndiye mwamba ni salama, ndiye mwamba ni salama, ndiye mwamba ni salama. Damu yake na sadaka nategemea daima, yote chini ya kisha Mwokozi atanitosha. Kwake Yesu nasimama, ndiye mwamba ni salama, ndiye mwamba ni salama, ndiye mwamba ni salama.
Thank you. Be seated. Today we had 8 former chairpersons, and I will read them from the latest. Is the latest or the earliest? Okay, so we have 9 plus the current one. So 8 former. We have CS Tomo Mariba. Let's appreciate him. We have FCS Beatrice Meso. Let's appreciate him. We have FCS Leting. Let's appreciate him. We have FCS Catherine Musakali. Let's appreciate him. We have FCS Dr. Jackson Maingi. Let's appreciate him. We had FCS John Budia, who just left. Let's appreciate him. Of course, we had FCS Oguda, who has left. Appreciate him. Then we have FCS Ilibadocheno. Also, let's appreciate him.
This is my tribute to the father of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, the late Raphael G. Mwai, FCS, MBS, and those other titles. The FCS family members present, the fellows of the Institute, fellow friends of FCS Mwai, the ICS family, the ICS Secretariat, good morning. First of all, I wish, it's good afternoon. I wish to formally convey my condolences to the family of our departed colleague. And secondly, to thank all of us for turning up to honor this great man. Third, allow me to make a few remarks just about this man, who was a very dear friend and mentor to me, as we have seen. To begin with, I must say that I looked at what other people have had to say about him, and I came across this one, Uhuru Mon's Brains Behind Vision 2030. There was this article on Kenyans.co.ke. So, FCS Mwai was not only a governance expert, but he was a leader of vision in this country. Among the visionaries, among the things he did, you will see that he was a leader of vision, a great leader in this company. As the article says, he was the architect behind Vision 220 Development Blueprint, having chaired the technical committee that drafted it while serving at the National Economic and Social Council in 2004 to 2010. Whether young or old, any CS must be remembering Raphael Mwai, even just for his laughter. You remember all of us have said the way he used to laugh. Personally, when I first, you could hear him from meters away. I don't want to say kilometers, but it was possible. You could hear him laugh in the room, even when people are so quiet. So all of us have been mentored by him. From the start, this is a man who was there from the beginning of the institute. Actually, for me, to say that I've always referred to him as the midwife of the institute, but coming to think of it, this is an understatement. Because before the institute, Raphael Mwai was. And to me, I think he's the father of the institute. And we should remember him as so. To quote the president, he made a significant contribution that shaped corporate governance sector in this country. He influenced many Kenyans, many Kenyans who are not even in this room, in this place today, who have held various roles in the corporate sector, in many corporations. Many of us here, he has had a big influence on us. I worked with him, especially in the strategic planning session. I hardly remember any strategic planning that Mr. Mwai was not involved. He was always there for the institute. Needless to say, he was very kind to young CPSs, as you have said, just to mentor them and to let people, to make them grow. And therefore, we'll remember him, and especially in his last, he wrote an article, okay, the last session in the article I went to look at, which really keeps ringing in my mind, this one on attributes of successful leaders, which he wrote in the governance forum, in our international conference in 2018 in Mombasa. In that article, he highlighted several issues. First, he noted that a successful leader, 1, displays strategic perspectives. 2, inspires and motivates a compelling vision. 3, displays high level of integrity and honesty. 4, makes things happen, drive for results. I think we've heard this from the speakers. 5, communicates powerfully. 6, builds high level of professional and technical expertise. 7, develops others. And lastly, builds effective relationships. And there is no argument that FCS Mwai exemplified all these attributes that he wrote about, both in his profession and governance career, and as a leader, and even in his family. So we have seen from his partners from this institute, which I also happen to see, and even today if you Google the PPD, he remains the consultant, he remains up, even on the homepage, I've seen he's still a powerful force even in his death. And so as I end up, I want to, even more crucial, I want to say that until his end, he was still committed to the growth of this institute, to the growth of professionals. And on my own behalf, surely, and that of my family, I want to say that shine on, shine on, shine on your way, FCS Mwai. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting how names define us, isn't it? Raphael? 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 The Archangel. Isn't it?
Yes.
So for me, a Catholic, and I know he was Catholic initially, Raphael Mwai was an archangel to many of us. He inspired many of us. He took many of us under his wing. He tutored us. He mentored us. He led us. He encouraged us. And that's how I want to remember FCS Raphael Mwai. Raphael Mwai, for me, another thing, he was a fountain of knowledge. Anytime I think about Raphael Mwai, in fact, not a fountain of knowledge, but a reservoir of knowledge. And for me, a reservoir of knowledge never dries. Even if we bury Raphael Mwai, that reservoir of knowledge shall remain. I came to know Raphael Mwai in 1998 when I had no choice but to join the institute. Why do I say had no choice? Because I went to work for Shell and I was the assistant to the company secretary. I had never heard about the institute. And then she was unceremoniously asked to leave and I was told, you're now going to become the company secretary. And I had to find this institute, so I found the institute. And the first few people I met at the institute, Raphael Mwai was among them. Githiga, Raphael Mwai, FCS Githiga, and many of you. And to say the least, I was actually intimidated. Because I used to wonder, now, what am I going to contribute when there are such men and women around me? Catherine Fisher was among them. Rosemary was another one. And so I would say, I mean, when you look at this gentleman, what can I add? But the passion that Raphael had for the institute made him reach out to each and every one of us and to find that jewel in each and every one of us and to polish that jewel in each and every one of us in a bid to grow the profession. And so even when he and Oguta reached out to me to join council, I was like, what are these people seeing in me? And Raphael Mwai was not one person you could say no to. Is there anybody who ever said no to him? No. Because he would say there's a great what? Opportunity. And so he said to me, there's a great opportunity for us to grow this institute together. And that's why I was convinced to get into council and thereafter to run for chairmanship. But he didn't stop there. And he asked me, look at all the chairmen who have gone before you. What is your contribution to the profession? There's a great opportunity. And that laughter, I can't get it out of my head. And he would laugh heartily, isn't it? He would laugh until you see him shaking. All of him, you know, if he's standing, he would be going like this. The passion that he had for the institute. The passion that he had to mentor people. And so, when the institute was called upon to develop Mwongozo, one of the first people I could think about was who? Raphael, the archangel, so that he could look after all of us as we develop Mwongozo. And he encouraged us. And even after developing Mwongozo, then his daily song was, have you spoken to Skak? There's a great opportunity. Yeah? For us to institute good corporate governance within the public sector. And so together with him, these trainings that you see for the public sector, for SCAC, for Mwongozo, the whole team that was working together with me, with his encouragement, then developed the curriculum. There's a great opportunity. And even then, up to November last year, there was still a great opportunity. What was the great opportunity? Governance audits within the public sector. Catherine, there's a great opportunity. And that's how I want to remember Raphael Mwai. He had this great propensity to just push people to greatness, push people towards opportunities, push people to be good to each other. There was that whole aura around him. You were in his presence and you just felt some aura, isn't it? There are some people who are like that, isn't it? You just feel this aura that you just want to be on your best behavior. That's how I want to remember Raphael. And for me, Raphael lives on in each and every one of you. Because there is nobody sitting here whose life Raphael did not touch. Let's remember him. Let's pray that his soul rests in eternal peace. Let's pray for his family. If we as the profession are feeling the loss this month, how much more his family? And so let's pray for his family, that God will give them the power, the strength to be able to deal with this great loss. Eternal peace grant unto him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace. Amen.
I don't know what to say about the late FCS Raphael Mwai, but I'll say a few things because most of the things have been talked about. He was a personal friend of mine, but let me step back a bit. I have known him for over 25 years. But let me start at a time when the leadership of this institute had become a little bit competitive. That is when I met the real FCS Raphael Mwai, the late. And so in this competition, he was actually on the other side. And I was on this side. So we competed hard. He's not laughing much. And I won narrowly. But the thing I want to say about Raphael, that evening after the elections, he called me and told Jackson, I know I was on the opposite side, but now the elections are over and we forge forward. The thing that I loved about him is he actually invited me so that he could teach me or he could give me a few tips about leadership. You know, he was a good leader. The reason for that was of his concern for good leadership at the institute. And I felt touched. And from that point onwards, we became great friends. In fact, he offered a few lessons in leadership, but also governance. Now, if you recall, those of you who were there then, it's a long time ago, in my speech, I accepted to continue the good work that had been started by the father of the institute in pursuit of promoting governance in Kenya. And that is what we actually did. But that was not the last I had encountered him in his capacity as a mentor to me. I felt a little bit challenged as I continued with my first term of leadership on the institute. And I felt one body that was not giving me support was the Board of Fellows. So I called the CEO and council members and told them, you know, I'm going to abolish the Board of Fellows. You know how powerful you can be as a I'm going to abolish the Board of Fellows. And in those days, the representative of the Board of Fellows was the late FCS Mwai. He said, Jackson, again, you have made another mistake. So he called for a meeting, and I remember we met there. And again, he took me through lessons of why the two bodies, that is council and the Board of Fellows, have got to cooperate rather antagonize one another. I actually felt touched. I wish Joshua Mwai was here because he was in the meeting. And I felt correct, and I accepted correction. But that was not the last time that I've been challenged by the late. He used to talk a lot about strategy and competitive advantage. And he didn't know that I was taking out his steps. I used to learn after him. I more or less had gotten tired of being a number person. I still do numbers, but I was getting a little bit tired. So I wanted something different. So I continued listening until I became a disciple of his strategy and competitive advantage. And I knew at one point in time he had gone back to the university to do a PhD. So when I got an opportunity, I went to do a PhD as well. And what did I do? I did strategy and competitive advantage to try and copy Raphael. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very honest. The late has impacted my life so much. I do not know what I would have done without him. So that in the meetings that were at All Saints Cathedral, I did not want to miss any day. I was just there, watching, waiting, listening. I want to give my tribute and that of the family to the late Raphael for the impact he has had on my life. But it saddens me because on or about the 4th or 5th of this month, I wrote some message to him on WhatsApp, again in pursuit of our subject of strategy and competitiveness. And he responded and said, Jackson, you will find time to meet. That was the last time that I communicated with my friend. May the good Lord rest his soul in eternal peace.
God is good all the time. My friend Raphael Mwai, I would like to pay my tribute. I will start by recognizing how we became friends. And I call him up to now my boyhood friend. Then, after a while, when we became family people, he's also my family friend. I met Mwai in the 60s, in the middle of 60s, when we were studying for CIS, that is the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of UK. And we had the Kenyan Association, which was run by a committee. And that committee, by the time we made the decision that we change to localize this institution, I was the chairman of that committee, and Raphael Mwai was the vice chairman. So when we tilted over, it was his turn to be the chairman of the new institute. Of course, you know, he was a burning head. He was somebody who would think around any problem on hand. Mwai will take a little time and comes up with the solutions. So during those days, actually the institute was more or less, you know, was taken over by the Indian students, boys, Wakina Desai, Agarwal, you know, and Doshi, and so on. There were the many, and we Kenyans were very few during that time. But when the subscription, the annual subscription, became too high because of the depreciation of the Kenya shilling, that is the time we felt that it is time to now change this so that we can pay local subscriptions. And the people who are instrumental on this are people like Ike Githiga here, people like Alfred Odero, people like R.M. Desai, you know, and so on. So we got this, we got on the way and did this. But I want to talk about my personal benefit from Mwai, you know, as a colleague, because once we knew one another, we kept on. Here, my friend. So, what I recognize about Mwai is that Mwai is very inquisitive. All meetings, institutions, fora that we had, if there is a new person, you know, giving a lecture or anything, Mwai will not leave you alone without extracting new knowledge from that person. That was his character. The other character is that Mwai, I think, had a promise, I don't know whether with God, but that he will never antagonize and abuse anybody for a fight. And all my time with Mwai, over the years, I never heard that Mwai was quarreling with anybody. If any of you knows that, I would really be happy to know, because I never heard him quarrel. But to solve the problems, our first board in the CPS, there was a quarrel between two board members. Unfortunately, the two of them were Luos. And I will mention, because it's not a crime to do so, it was Okumundede and Alfred Odero. That fight, Ike Mwai would remember. I mean, Ike Githiga can recollect that it was very tough. It was very tough. But who came with that solution was none other than Mwai himself. And these fellows eventually said, I forgive you, I forgive you. If Alfred Odero was here, he would confirm that. So those attributes are very prominent on Mwai. Now on the side of our friendship, personal friendship, Mwai is known in my family by every member. All my children know Mwai. Now the reason being that when my second son was getting married in 1989, November, he was the master of ceremony. And in there, I had him speak Luo for the first time. And he referred to the in-laws as Nyawana. Those who know this knows that the in-laws, I don't know, we say Mulamwa? Mudoniwa. It's Nyawana in Luo. And he was addressing that side and this side equally. He knew how to balance any situation. And most of my pieces of advice, how to run a family well, came from Mwai. But you know, I'm older than him. Because he's a 46 fellow, I'm a 36 fellow. So if you look at that situation, Mwai has done a lot to my family. But then come to the institution, I plodded along with Mwai on most of these things, that we could, meet together. And even up to now, at PPD, when I walk in there, we go to the boardroom. And if Ogutha was here, I would tell you, let's go this way. We sit down, take some water, and then talk our business. Then then it is finished. So when I had the information that is gone, it took me with a big surprise, and I said that it is the decision of God who says who comes first. I know that my boyfriend, my boyhood friend is left, but we will also eventually leave. So I say deep and heartfelt condolences from me and my family to the family of Raphael Mwai, and I'm praying that I sleep well, because you know the advanced age you never tell. Sleep well so that I may have strength to go to Mecca, because I can't fail to bury my friend. We've done so many things that I could not cover them now, but I must see him at the last minute. May God rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman and former Chairman, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I had indicated that I didn't want to speak because it's very difficult. But our former chairman, called Charles Wachira, who could not make it, used to say, only a fool does not change his mind. So I'm not a fool. So now I bring apologies for our former chairman, Mr. Charles Wachira, who is indisposed. He wanted to come even yesterday, but they persuaded him not to. I also give apologies for chairman number 3, Alfred Piotr Onero. He has been traveling during the night, but his car broke down somewhere in Narok. We talked. And for those of you who are young enough, you remember Daudi Kabaka's music, Twist, when he was going to see his girlfriend in Nakuru, and the car broke down in Naivasha. Na akasema, gari si kama damu ya mwanadamu. Ni mwanadamu anaendesha na damu, but a gari can fail. You know how painful it is when you are going to see your girlfriend and you cannot make it. Say, driver, and then Nakuru, Ikamone Lord. Raphael also used to say, a man of faith heart cannot win women. The biggest challenge of a man is to win a woman, not to cheat, but to win a woman. Stop those jokes. And first of all, when you have been in the College of Fellows, the other day, Raphael threw a challenge to us. And he quoted from the Old Testament. You know, you have Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Joshua. And at one time, the children of Israel were very comfortable. They said they stayed in the same place for too long. And the Lord God told them, you have been here for too long, you must move on. So as an institute, and the sister institute, bodies like CASNEP and so forth, sometimes we stay in the same place for too long, forgetting to move ahead. And that is something which should always make us worried. Now, the other aspect we must bear in mind, now that Raphael has gone, Christ gave spoke in parables. And he said, unless a seed falls to the ground and dies, it cannot produce other seeds. He talked about grain of wheat. So when we see Raphael has gone, it is a seed which has dropped, but is not dead. He is giving an opportunity to other seeds to grow. Of course, I do not intend to follow Raphael too soon. That is my intention. But you know, we are told, death like a thief comes at night. We are planning to have lunch with Raphael on Wednesday before he passed away. And if I had known, I would have given him a message to take to my father. My father who passed away on Friday, February 20th, 1959. That is the year he did his Cambridge school. The message I would have given was, because Raphael and I believe that we should not think we are old. December 12, 2018, I got married. I did not remarry. When you lose your even you marry, you are not remarried, you get married. Because when you say you remarried, you are insulting the lady. Stop insulting ladies. And that day, Raphael represented my father. He spoke on behalf of my father. That's why I would have said to him to take a message to my father. And I hope that both of them are seated in the right hand of Abraham. Having said that, I want to throw one or two challenges to young people in the office. And I would like the staff of CASNEP, your staff, to take note. Your staff to take note. There is an article written in the Economist of October 1998. And it talked about the rise and fall of empires. And it was examining the General Motors. That time the General Motors was the biggest company automaker in the world. And the problems facing General Motors. And 10 years later, 2008, General Motors failed and other companies, and the governments had to rescue them. So the rise and fall of empires. And it says, in every organization, there is a seed of destruction. And unless those young enough take care of that to ensure that the seed of destruction does not germinate and kill the institution or the empire, an empire can die. And all those empires include my institute, the place I used to work earlier, ICPAK, and so forth. So it is incumbent on everybody to ensure that the seed of destruction does not destroy an institution as an empire. Before I mention two or more points, I also wish to say that none of you are in CASNEP at that time. And I took the opportunity to reprimand my senior members of staff at CASNEP at that time. Because I had sent them to a seminar to think of how we could build the institution, but they started asking me about salaries, increase in salaries. And I referred them to the writings of St. Paul, Timothy, and Titus, where he told the young men, reprimand, rebuke, but also teach and guide with mercy and love. I told them, young people, we have just come out of a problem paying the loan for the building. We are building reserves, and when the reserves are there, the board will pay you so much money that you'll be the enemy of everyone. And and that happened. But I told them, don't begin to think of it. I never allowed them to eat. And 2017, I think buyers had already joined us. Again, I had to reprimand my members of staff. And I was reprimanding them with love. I told them, I'm just about to retire. And if this organization, I called the senior men in the front, they were all men. And if this organization fails, you are to blame. That is still starts. Finally, regarding Raphael, and you have said many things about him. I will not enumerate all what we did, but one of the greatest things we did with Raphael 2014 was actually to save and rescue the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. And we did not do it as members of that institute, but as members of this institute. Let's briefly what happened. Expatriates. And when expatriates tell you something, think carefully before you say yes, yes, yes. I first of all noted an expatriate there. And whenever I went overseas, I found him in all meetings of accountants, dressed in the same manner as Kapua man. That's what they had planned to do in the profession. They wanted to isolate all professionals in the amendment to the Accountants Act, and they called them special government entities, which would be audited by a specific number of firms of accountants. So the man told us they had done it in Botswana, they had done it somewhere, and I raised the question, why haven't you done it in Britain? Why haven't you done it in Canada? And all these white countries, they didn't have an answer. So we told the accountants from the government's point of view, what you are doing is wrong. The second letter of Timothy, or Paul to Timothy, he talks about good leaders. He tells the young man, including Titus, how to identify and choose and elect good leaders. I cannot remember everything, but one of the things he says, a good leader must be of good temperament. He must not be taken to wine. That is not telling people not to drink. He must have good reputation. His children, then he said, he must be a husband of but one wife. Do not tell people want to marry many wives. But he said he must be a husband of but one wife. Those remarks, I'm sure the young members of staff have taken note. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Family members who are here of the late FCS Mwai, friends of the late FCS, fellows of the Institute, members of the Institute, ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to convey deep and heartfelt condolences for the loss of a very iconic father in this profession of the certified secretaries. It was with great sadness that we heard of the news, but today we take this opportunity to celebrate and appreciate this great man who, without him, some of us would not be in the professions we are in, even having the jobs we are having and doing what we are doing to earn a living as professionals. So for me personally, FCS Raphael Mwai was a father and a mentor. Really, he looked at me as a daughter, which I really appreciated, and all he had was words of encouragement and words of comfort to know that you are doing the right thing, you are stepping in the right places, and keep on doing what you're doing. So for that, I really don't take it for granted, because at this young age, it's encouraging even for other younger members to see that young members, especially ladies, can also take up positions of leadership. So for that, I really appreciate and I pay my tribute to FCS Mwai. We have all heard that he really contributed greatly, and during his tenure as the first chairman of the institute, I have read from the book that they wrote together with FCS Githiga and many other eminent fellows who are here. He was the chairman who developed the first strategic plan for this institute. And those were the very old years where strategic plans were very alien things. We didn't even have strategic plans in the public sector at that time. People were just doing work operationally, so he was really a visionary. And even the first international conference that was ever held was under his leadership. So we know that we have an icon has fallen, and we hope we will be able to follow on the footsteps, and also that younger people will be able to tread the same path so that this profession can continue to be great for the benefit of this country. So without so much to say, I wish to pray that God may rest his soul in eternal peace, and that all the work he has done, his footprints in the sands of time may not be indelible. We will always remember him, and everyone who comes after us. We are young, yes, but we know time will pass, and everybody that will come will remember there was once a very iconic gentleman, FCS Raphael G, who developed this institute and brought it to where it is. So, pole zangu and my family, and I wish to his soul to rest in eternal peace. So, with those words, I would like to welcome Chairman. Let Chairman have the honors of introducing the council so that he can also share his tribute. Asanteni and poleni sana.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair, for the tribute. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin also by expressing my own heartfelt condolences to the family of the late FCS Raphael Mwai, or Chairman #1, as I used to call him. Whenever we met, he was always Chairman #1. It was indeed a very shocking news that when I had of his passing, it really moved me deeply. We shall miss him. We shall miss him greatly. The type of conversations we had, the advice that he had to give, even his infectious laughter, I think that which has been mentioned here, he was a good human being and a great person really to be around. And he was truly a mentor and an inspiration to all of us, and certainly to me as well. When I was thinking of throwing my hat in the ring for the office of chair, I did consult him, and I saw him. I had lunch with him together with the FCS Githiga, and they had a lot of challenging questions to ask me. And I wondered, did I make a mistake saying I'll run for chair? But they were also very encouraging, and it was with that encouragement that they gave me that I decided to continue with that course of action. So I'm really grateful to FCS Mwai for all that he did. I will read the official tribute from the Institute, and this is it. FCS Raphael Githiga Mwai, or RG as he was fondly known among his professional colleagues, died suddenly on Tuesday, 7th January 2020. And we extend heartfelt condolences to his family and friends. Born in rural Nyeri, RG was a resident of the cosmopolitan Nairobi most of his adult life, a background which probably informed his non-ethnic stance in life. He worked in national government, in industrial and commercial sectors, before eventually settling down in his company secretarial and consultancy firm. He not only took pride in his business, but truly relished the friends he made in his entire business
and professional life, using his experience to nurture and mentor upcoming professionals. He was an outstanding student of Nyeri High School and a graduate of the University of London. He believed in continuous reading and was therefore pursuing a PhD in strategic management in the School of Business, University of Nairobi. RG was a fellow and founder chairman of the Institute of Certified Secretaries. He was a key member of the team, comprising representatives from previous members of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries, Kenya Accountants and Secretaries, National Examinations Board, CASNEP, and the former Association of Certified Public Secretaries that lobbied for the establishment of a national institution of the secretarial profession. These efforts culminated in the enactment of the Certified Public Secretaries Act in 1988, which formed the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya in 1989. Upon election as chairman, RG immediately started building structures for governance, development, as well as management of the profession and the institute. He led members in establishing internal management structures, including the secretariat, committees, and an office. Fundamental policy structures, including bylaws, financial regulations, and other policy documents, as well as proposals for the improvement of the legal environment, were developed. He also set out to streamline working relationships with stakeholders such as the national government, CASNEP, Association of Professional Societies in East Africa, the Registration of Certified Public Secretaries Board, and the Law Society of Kenya. Internal and wide-ranging consultations and workshops were held to clarify and agree upon matters of mutual interest. RG was among the first members of the Institute to represent the Institute in various professional organizations. He also discreetly used such occasions for succession planning and identification of suitable officers for the Institute. Soon the edifice that is now the Institute roared into action as a well-founded body corporate, earning stakeholder, international, and government recognition as a pillar of governance in Kenya and internationally. He was the lead in creation of CPD programs and was the convener of the College of Fellows at the Institute of Certified Secretaries. One former chairman recounted how, to his surprise, RG with a number of officials went to his house and told him he was earmarked for election as next chairman. On protesting that he needed more learning time before accepting such an onerous responsibility, RG in his brusque and baritone tone retorted, "Of course you're ready, but if you dream to match my standards, then you're a candidate for miserable disappointment." The latter-day chairman knew he had lost the argument, but that was RG for you. FCS Mwai, who could have a wicked sense of humor. RG will be sorely missed by all of us as a friend, institution builder, mentor, and leader par excellence. Goodbye, dear colleague and friend. May the good Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. Amen. I remember the last, I think, official function we had was the annual dinner, where he gave one of the keynote speeches, and he, in his very humorous way, he talked about having a short speech and a long speech, and he said he would read the short speech, but he ended up going very long, actually reading his long speech. But in that speech, he covered a lot of things. And one of the, among the things he talked about was where the Institute had come from and the various milestones that it had gone through. And then he set out some challenges for all of us. And I felt, particularly for me, that what he set down is something that I really need to really pay attention to keenly.
because just as has been said, just to paraphrase, there are many great opportunities that the members of this profession have available for them out there. It is for us, gathering around and working together as an institute that we can indeed realize those opportunities. And I pray that we shall work together indeed to identify and grab those opportunities and see them to realization. With those few remarks, I will hand over to the CEO to guide us forward to the next stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, FCS Chair. So the final thing we wanted to do this afternoon is to continue requesting support from all our membership, as we had sent out a notice that really we're not contributing towards his send-off, but actually more about the bill that was accumulating for the wife when she fell ill at Australia while she was traveling to go and attend a graduation for their daughter. And therefore, I have been allowed to announce how much we've been able to raise from our pay bill number. Until this morning, we had raised an amount of 94,000 from the pay bill number. I think it's good to appreciate those who have been able to give their contribution. But at the same time, also continue requesting that we continue being generous in terms of this. The bill right now is about 7-point-something million. Of course, removing the kind of costs of traveling the wife here. She's still unwell, so they have to keep her in the hospital, and then tomorrow take her to Nyeri, then back to the hospital. So I think let's continue telling our friends as well, if they're able to do something, it will be a great honor to try and sort that particular item out. So also I've been allowed to announce what the Benevolent Fund has been able to share as a contribution. So there's a bill that they are paying for the wife up to 60,000. There's a medical bill also for the wife up to 60,000. Then the last expense of 50,000, that makes it about 170,000 from the Benevolent Fund that we run as an institute. That's the money that we currently we have. But as we say, if anybody, be it here or later on, wants to pledge, kindly feel free. If you want to do it now, you're most welcome. If you want to do it later, you're still most welcome. So I will allow a minute or two to talk to your neighbor. If you are moved, you could come and give your pledges. Or when you go back to your M-Pesa or write a check to us, it will really help. And this I'm saying because the family has actually reached out to us to really request, very specifically, that if we are able to help as an institution. I know that we're talking to most of our senior members, our former chairpersons, and even the current chair really trying to request that we assist them in that particular area, on the medical bills especially.
I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy path throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think of God his Son not sparing, sent him to die, as curse can take it in, that on the cross my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
And we thank God for above everything. I was always very intimidated. Very few people intimidate me, but I was always very intimidated in the presence of Raphael Mwai, FCS Raphael Mwai. And I thank God that in the last year, somehow we interacted a lot, and I benefited from his mentorship. We made a few presentations with him, and I attended a few meetings that he was chairing, and I thank God for his life. And we all know that he has actually turned, gotten his wings. He's been an angel walking on the ground. He got his wings. And I thank, on behalf of the Secretariat, and on behalf of Council, and on behalf of the membership, we thank all who worked with the family, especially, you know, the circumstances under which he passed on. None of us prepares for passing on, I think. It is not, even people who've been sick for a long time, it's still difficult. But the Institute rose up and has worked with the family and has worked with him as the father of the profession. So the people who've worked with him, the staff, the Secretariat, thank you so much for all that you did to make this particular event possible. It has been a beautiful event, and it has given people an opportunity to be able to say something about him, about a man that they loved, a man that they interacted with, and a man that had a mark on the Institute. And for your vocal CEO, I think a change of career is in order, and take it seriously. And the choir, and the bigger choir, and just the way you've coordinated the event is not average. It is way above average. I'm trying to imagine what Raphael would use to say, but I think he would be happy that you did this for him. To all the members who've made time to attend, for all the members who have not been, who were there yesterday, who will be there tomorrow for the Nyeri ceremony, thank you so much, and thank you for working with the partners. CASNEB in a very special way. All past and present CASNEB, we know we benefited from Mwai's council and foundational work for all the institutes that have anything to do with the CS profession. Thank you, CASNEB. Thank you, PPD. I will endeavor to know more about PPD so that I can continue to benefit from the reservoir of knowledge that, from hearing from yesterday, what Mwai has left the profession. The College of Fellows, again, the face of the College of Fellows for me was Mwai, always. And as I told you, I felt intimidated by FCS Mwai, and therefore I felt intimidated by the College of Fellows. Not so much anymore, because being in council I've interacted more, and I've known you don't bite. So, College of Fellows, thank you for showing us how to work together. Yesterday when I saw the house being the ceremony, the walking into the chapel, and I saw all the fellows walking beside their fellow. It was a learning. It was a learning in process, and it was something that we should emulate as the younger. I'm not very young, but the younger professionals, to walk with each other, to hold each other, and from all the testimonies we've had, how, you know, how you availed yourself to mentorship by Mwai. He has left a gap. We are looking around to make sure that we know that we can walk to you as other Mwais, as he showed the way. Past chairpersons, all here, feel acknowledged. Thank you for started and lifting this profession to the place it is now. There's still a lot of work to be done, and we know that we can rely on your counsel to continue doing it. And to everybody, the council members, the chairman, thank you for leading this. And as the CEO mentioned, the journey is still long. The family still needs a lot of help. And thank you to those who have contributed. And thank you to those who are about to contribute. And most importantly, thank you to those who are about to feel called to lead the call for help for the family much higher than probably we can manage ourselves, because Mwai was really much bigger than the institute, and the call can be walked higher than ourselves, and maybe there is need for holding of hands to be able to do that. That is just an acknowledgement. And if I have not mentioned you in any way, please feel acknowledged, and thank you for making this occasion what it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.